Hampton Roads, the coastal part of Virginia, comprised of Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Virginia Beach. In the middle of them, Willoughby Bay, on the world's largest naval installation, Naval Base Norfolk. The site of the Stihl Virginia is for Lovers' Cup. What was to be the first race of the Jasper Unlimited Thunder Tour presented by Las Vegas now becomes the fourth due to wind and waves that prevented any preliminary racing. But positions from qualifying at that time carry over, and the top qualifier at the inaugural outing was Miss Budweiser, with her new driver Dave Villwalk at the helm. A different story from last year. For the Budweiser racing team, the 1996 season, keyword frustration. In fact, they did not make it to the winner's circle until September, when Mark Evans won the 9th event of the year in San Diego. They went on to win in Honolulu, in fact, have now won 5 events in a row. They came out of their Seattle shop at the start of the 97 season, loaded for bear and grimly determined, establishing a huge advantage in qualifying speeds over their primary competition, the Pico American Dream and the Close Call. Now, as we get into the season a ways, the competition appears to be catching up. Have they caught up completely? Well, we're about to find out. Another team that's been a very pleasant surprise is Steve Woomer's second boat, an all-volunteer crew under the direction of a very talented young boat racer who is with our Tom Deeth.
Steve, this truck gear team has been put together with leftover parts from the Close Call racing team and anything Steve Woomer can throw at them. But they've responded from a devastating collision type of accident that happened in Detroit to a strong second-place finish at Madison, Indiana last weekend. Nate, when the season started, did you think you'd be along as far as you are?
Well, I don't know. You know, this winter when I was working down at the Close Call team, helping them on their backup boat, Steve said, Nate, you better hurry up. You got another boat to put together. And I went, whoa, okay. So I knew it was going to be a tough struggle. And the volunteer crew we have and the leftover parts that we use, I'm really pleased with the truck gear operation and what we're doing so far. But it's been quite a surprise.
Nate and crew have done okay so far today, as we'll see in just a minute.
Nate Brown and his truck gear team, the early season surprise as we check the O'Doul's national high point so far. And we see the truck gear in 6th position and Miss Budweiser dominating early on in the season. Tom Deeth, it's the only race course we'll see all season that you haven't driven on. In fact, it's new to all our teams.
That's right, Steve. It's a 2-mile race course with very tight turns. The start-finish line is at point of land in the center of the screen. And on the backstretch, there's pleasure boats that line the entire backstretch. The water is shallow. It's salt water. This can be real fast, but it also can be devastating to the turbine engines. If the turbine engine ingests the salt, it cakes up on the blade, and it toasts the engine. And protecting that engine is the subject of this week's Pico's Performance Corner.
If you saw the coverage of our previous races this season, Detroit, Evansville, and Madison, you might notice that the hydroplanes actually look different here in Virginia. The reason? We're running on salt water, and if it gets into your turbine engine, you can destroy a very expensive piece of equipment. This is called a saltwater snout. It attaches on the top of the cockpit, and its purpose is to keep the salt water out of the engine as the driver is leaving the pits, and that big wave of water comes up over the front of the boat. It extends out over a lot of that water, and the driver can operate these doors from inside the cockpit. It has worked fairly well, but one team here thinks they can get along without it, and that's Fred Leland and the Pico American Dream.
Our cowling is so far forward without the extension that we thought we didn't need it, so that when we were here the last time, we took it off and tried it, and it worked, so we've kind of given up on running it. It's a little faster not to have it. It's safer not to have it. We're probably the only ones that have a long enough cowling to do that.
And that brings us to the running of Heat 1A, held earlier today. This is the way the boats lined up, and we saw early on the devastating effects of salt water on turbine engines with or without a cowling. Miss Budweiser, our fast qualifier on the inside. Then the DeWalt Tools, the Computers and Applications, Pico American Dream, and Miss Exide out in lane 5. The green flag flew. We had action right away.
Look at the blue boat, how far in the lead he is. He's moving in now toward the inside of the race course, and unfortunately, Ken Muscatel goes through a big wall of water, which put out the fire. Mark Evans had legal 5-boat overlap, though, so he could tighten up the race course like he did. There was no foul.
And the next time the field comes by, Dr. Muscatel in a precarious position as the Budweiser and the Pico scoot right beside him in the first turn. Even on a freshwater course, Tom, that would have been a bad gulp of water. Salt water could be fatal.
That's a shame, too, because Ken has had a couple of good second-place finishes in some heat races, and now it did not finish. Just not going to look good on the scoreboard.
Miss Budweiser in her final turn of Heat 1A, the 3-lap event, with the red boat leading all the way, but the Pico American Dream staying right on his hip in second place. Dave Villwock in Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser takes the checkered flag. He is the winner of Heat 1A. Mark Evans and the Pico running second, the DeWalt and Mike Hansen in third place. Our Fruit of the Loom scoreboard shows Mike Jones and the Miss Exide in fourth place. The computers and applications did not finish, and owner-driver Ken Muscatel had to face harsh reality.
Well, we had to withdraw because we have a broken strut, not to mention engine problems. We have broken parts on the bottom. We have broken engine stringers. You name it, it's broken. And in order to have a chance to make the next race, we have to stop and fix. If we break the strut, the whole bottom of the boat comes off. We lose the gearbox potentially in the engine. We just can't afford it. So we had to stop and look and make a decision, and that's what we did.
We'll recap more of the preliminary heats on a beautiful day in Norfolk, Virginia. Coverage of the Stihl Virginia is for Lovers Cup is sponsored by Las Vegas, open 24 hours, and by Zodiac Sports Watches, official timers of the UHRA. Welcome back to Naval Base Norfolk, the world's largest, hosting the Stihl Virginia is for Lovers Cup. The second time around for this event, the first try was postponed due to wind. And with the Navy such a big part of this, it's a second chance to strut their stuff. Just ask the head man.
As you know, we were really disappointed that we got rained out over Memorial Day, but just really excited that our schedules were able to dovetail to have another opportunity to put on this event. It looks as though the weather's going to cooperate. There's going to be more people here. The facility is terrific. It looks like this is going to even be bigger and better than what we tried over the Memorial Day weekend.
What's it like serving aboard something like the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, the John C. Stennis?
It's incredibly interesting on an aircraft carrier. There's tons of things to see. You get to see planes taking off, helicopters. You just see all sorts of military operations that a lot of people would never see before. And when you're on the ship out to sea, the schedule is totally different. You can be up and out of your rack at a moment's notice for a drill or an evolution coming up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Once you get up here and you're actually standing your watch, you stand watch and you perform your lookout duties. The officer of the deck who is in charge of the ship will call up to the signal bridge and ask us to identify contacts and their position and their angle and which direction they're headed. We use signal flags, flashing light, and semaphore to send messages and signals. We'll send tactical maneuvering signals, which we utilize our flags here to send certain messages out of some books, our code books that we have. And we'll tell them which way to go or tell them which way we're going, and we'll try to synchronize our maneuvers that way. I really enjoy being in port with my family, and my family enjoys me being there, but on the same token, they understand that I'm doing my job and we're going out to sea, and I enjoy going out to sea and going to other places and being a part of the military.
These sailors today are a lot smarter. They work a lot harder. They're focused, and they are our future in naval aviation and the Navy.
Earlier today, 4 of the 5 boats slated for Heat 1B answered the call.
Rick Christensen and the Allison-powered Master Tire did not make the start. In Lane 1, Mark Weber and Team Stihl. Lane 2, Mark Tate in close call. Nate Brown, his teammate, in Miss Truck Gear in Lane 3. Stephen David in Prime Star, Lane 4.
And you saw Steve David make a good start on the outside, but the speed was over in Lane 1. The close call in Mark Tate, the first boat to turn left and the early leader, as we see from our Labatt's eye in the sky. Tate going out to a big lead, as we would expect.
The close call racing team this weekend really have it together. They've been running real strong all weekend.
The Zodiac lap time for Mark Tate in the close call, 132 miles per hour. And we go on board with Nate Brown.
Look at the bouncy ride Nate is getting. You can see the rooster tail off to the left, but really getting jostled in the corners.
It's his teammate, the leader, Mark Tate, in the close call, running off to his left. There's a good picture of Nate Brown, and this is the close call, our leader of Heat 1B.
Notice the smooth ride now in the close call. He's got the lead water. The water's much smoother in first place.
Things always a little smoother for the guy out front. And now you see the big lead that Tate in the close call will build up. Almost stuffed it there, Tom, as he got the nose a little heavy.
Well, he hit a roller in that corner, and that roller is caused by the skid pins when the boats are going around the turn.
Coming down to take the checkered flag now at the end of Heat 1B was Mark Tate and the close call, picking up 400 points his first time on the water today. You see him just leaving. Your picture to the right. The second place boat is the truck gear with Nate Brown, and the blue boat running in third place is Team Stihl with Mark Webber. A much better outing for Mark Tate than our last event where he failed to make the final. Here's our Fruit of the Loom scoreboard after Heat 1B. Tom Deeth met Mark Tate at the winner's dock.
We got 400 points. We got a heat win under our belt, and we'll have the close call up for the front where she belongs.
More racing to come from Naval Base Norfolk. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Tidelands area of Virginia, Norfolk to be exact, where the Stihl Virginia is for Lovers Cup is taking place. The city of Norfolk hosted a welcome party for the Unlimited community and race organizers at downtown Norfolk's Nauticus on the waterfront. It featured delicious local seafare and more to slake the thirst and hunger. The commish, Bill Donor, presented Mayor Paul Frame and his city manager with unlimited hydro mementos. And while the band played on, some of the cocktail talk involved the commissioner and rumors of his resignation. Duty-bound, we sought the truth.
My plan is probably to do something a little different come November 1st. I would probably help the UHRA continue on with their marketing and stuff, but there's some other avenues I'm exploring, that's true. Yeah, this is it. November 1st at the end of the season. We'll have a nice transitionary period where we'll put somebody else in place, but I think the time's kind of come. It's my fourth year, and I didn't really have a time frame in mind for this position. But I have some frustrations, of course, and things I was unable to accomplish in this period of time. At the same time, I feel like we've done a lot of things, and I think it's time when somebody else came in and grabbed a hold of it and took it to the next level.
Time now for the running of Heat 2A. The field on the water will feature the DeWalt tools on the inside, the close call way on the outside. In the second heat, Tom, we send the fastest boats way outside. Makes for some great racing.
Well, it also gives the slower boats an opportunity to have a little bit better finish. Close call, though, on the outside, just rocketing toward that first turn.
That is Mark Tate in the close call out in lane 5. Just inside him, teammate Nate Brown in the truck gear, sponsored here by Ron's Rods and Customs. Mark Webber and Team Stihl did not make it off the trailer. Steve David and the Prime Star in lane 2. Mike Hansen over in lane 1 made a good start. And with the stagger, these three boats were side by side through the first turn.
Very good race, side by side to the turn. Close call out in front. We're in the cockpit now with Nate Brown. The water conditions are a lot better, and the crew must have made some major changes because the boat ride is a lot better.
Now, just off to Nate's right, you can see his teammate, and that is Mark Tate in the close call, beginning to establish a little bit of dominance here, but he's way on the outside with a long ways to go, and there comes the close call. Now we're on board with Mark Tate.
Mark Tate's boat is handling beautiful, too. A little bit of air underneath the close call, but he's got it glued to the water now.
Nate Brown actually sneaks up and takes the lead for a moment, but look how close these boats are, and now finally the close call able to close them down in that turn and begin to dominate.
Mark Tate making a very tight corner, and what that does is it causes the inside boats to slow down even more, and he gets better acceleration off the turn.
We talked about Commissioner Bill Donor, and one of the things he brought to the sport during his reign was the Heat 2 inversion, moving the fast boats to the outside where they have to get around the slower boats, makes for some great racing. You saw the 138-mile-per-hour lap by the close call on our Zodiac timer.
This is the battle of the teammates in this particular heat. Mark Tate winning the war right now, but Nate Brown keeping him honest.
Steve David running fourth back in the Prime Star. Mark Tate leaving a lot of room for Nate Brown. If they weren't teammates, Tom, there might not be that much space in there.
That's right. He'd probably close it up pretty tight, but you can see from the eye in the sky here that he's got a full rooster tail lead over his teammate.
That is a beautiful shot, showing the lane that Mark Tate is leaving for teammate Nate Brown as they come down to complete another lap.
Crew Chief Jim Lucero has got this boat ride just perfect now. They've been working on a combination all week long, and I think they've hit on it. The boat ride is beautiful on the close call.
After a very frustrating weekend last time out, the Indiana Governor's Cup in Madison, Mark Tate, who we're riding with right now, did not make the final heat. Very uncharacteristic role for him. But now his second checkered flag of the day, 400 more points for Mark Tate. And the close call, the winner of Heat 2A. Teammate Nate Brown in the truck gear finishing second. Third place to Mike Hansen and the DeWalt Tools. Back just a bit to Steve David in Jim Harvey's Prime Star, finishing fourth. We go back to the pit area now with Mark Tate aboard the close call, where Team Stihl continues to work on the trailer. They did not start that heat, and these are the accumulated points after the running of Heat 2A.
What a battle with your teammate.
It's a good race between me and Nate Brown in the truck here, and I'm sure our owner, Mr. Woomer, is quite happy. Got a first and a second in that heat win, and still a long day. We got another heat race. We got a final to make, and this is racing. A lot of things can happen out there.
Happy owner Steve Woomer. His boats finished first and second in 2A. More to come from Virginia. Welcome back. The Jasper Unlimited Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas from Norfolk. On the midway, youngsters enjoy the amazing balloon twisting talents of Zappy the Clown. Yeah, kid, we don't think he's finished with it either. Heat 2B will feature the Master Tire, the piston-powered boat, Miss Exide, the Pico American Dream, and Miss Budweiser, along with driver Dave Vilwalk and crew chief Ronnie Brown, having a much better time of it in 1997 than they did in 1996.
We were struggling last year, but staying on top of this stuff, and the rest of these guys are really running down the beach here, and it's really been difficult year after year to stay on top and be on the cutting edge of technology and go out and look for a few miles an hour all the time. But it seems as though this year we did some homework this winter and found a few more miles an hour, and the motors are running great. Both boats seem to be riding real nice, and Dave's doing an excellent job.
Vilwalk has the Miss Budweiser in lane 2 as the piston-powered Master Tire brings him down to the start line. The green flag flies, and we are racing in Heat 2B.
This is going to be a real close call because we've got Budweiser in lane 2, who has to leave room for the Pico American Dream in lane 1.
Mark Evans and the red, white, and blue boat have the boat speed to stay with him. Now you see Vilwalk not leaving him a lot of room like the teammates did in the last heat. He'll establish that overlap as soon as he can and close off the Pico. Now the Budweiser speed takes over from our Labatt's eye in the sky. You see, Tommy has almost that rooster tail overlap here on the first lap.
Well, what Dave did there coming off of turn 2 is he tightened up his radius and actually caused the Pico to tighten it up even more and slowed him down.
We talked on tighter courses how maybe you don't want to be in lane 1, but these are slightly bigger turns. Where would you want to be here?
Well, in the Budweiser, I don't think it makes any difference whether he gets lane 1 or lane 2. He's just got so much boat speed over everyone else.
We saw earlier the Pico American Dream running outside, staying pretty close to the close call. Now on the inside, he's unable to stay with the Budweiser. Now we see, Tom, that Mark Evans is going to the outside, looking for smoother water.
Well, what he's trying to do now is keep up momentum, and he's got to keep the boat speed up to have any shot at all at catching the Budweiser.
Remember, this is a second heat with the fast boats choosing last, but this boat, the Exide, and the Master Tire with Rick Christensen choosing first, chose to go way outside.
Yeah, they knew this was going to be a duel of the Pico and the Budweiser, and they just wanted to stay out of the way.
136 miles per hour for the Budweiser, 125 for the Pico American Dream, our Zodiac timer. And one thing Mark Evans is doing, Tom, is staying out of the Budweiser's rooster tail, which ended his day in Madison.
In the final heat for sure, but he's got to stay out of the rooster tail here because the salt water would just shut that motor right down.
The only piston-powered boat in the otherwise all-turbine field, the Master Tire, underway, but not at high speed, as you can see. That's a brand-new boat for the Cooper family out of Indiana. And Miss Budweiser will take another in a series of checkered flags in 1997. Our winner of Heat 2B, Dave Villwock. The Pico American Dream and Mark Evans settling for second place. Once again, we have two of our hot dogs hooking up here in Heat 2B, the Pico American Dream and the Budweiser. Once again, the victor is Dave Villwock in Miss Budweiser. Our piston-powered boat, the Master Tire, finishes in third place. As we look at our Fruit of the Loom scoreboard, these are accumulated points after the running of Heat 2B. Miss Exide, as you saw, did not finish.
Dave, you anticipated that start perfectly, and it looks like the wick was really turned up.
Yeah. Dewey and Mark, they loaded some bullets there. They didn't want to lose that heat, and Ron, he gave us a great setup this morning. You know, he went out and he was hunting for that particular lane this morning and had the boat set up. We knew it was set up pretty good this morning.
See the world's fastest boats in person and see if Miss Budweiser continues to kick rooster tail. Here's the Jasper Hydro Tour schedule. We're off to the state of Washington in late July, then Kelowna, BC, and Seattle in August. In September, it's San Diego and Las Vegas, and out to Honolulu in October. More from Norfolk after this. Welcome back. The fourth race of the Jasper Hydroplane Tour, presented by Las Vegas. As we look down on nearby Virginia Beach from our Labatt's Eye in the Sky, this is the headquarters of Stihl, whose given Virginia is for Lovers Cup spectators plenty to do between heats, like timber sport, a lumberjack challenge involving several disciplines, like two-man crosscut sawing, single and double axe blade chopping, and springboard chopping. Great action off the water as well as on historic Chesapeake Bay, where fans were treated to exciting action as the unlimited lights took to the water. We'll have that final for you coming up. A good opportunity for fans along the shore to collect drivers' autographs as well. Now, some of the racers here, under 20 years old, have ambitions to move up to the unlimited class. If you have aspirations to be an unlimited hydroplane driver and you are 9 to 15 years old, this is what you should be doing right now. It's the APBA's Universal J Class, a 9 to 10 foot boat with a 15 cubic inch, 10 horsepower outboard motor. You will start out on your knees, which is literally where most of our unlimited drivers will tell you they got their beginnings, like the drivers of these two boats.
We've been racing for about 3 years now.
Abby, how old are you now?
I'm 14.
Now, you'll have to leave this class soon. Where will you go then?
I'll go up to a higher class, which is the A class, and I'll run about 60 instead of 45 now.
You go a little faster. Mm-hmm. Who wins when you two race?
It's very competitive between all the drivers in this class, so it's whoever gets the starts mostly.
He's being politically correct, Abby. Do you beat your brother or not?
Well, we kind of go back and forth, and we have a lot of other kids that are really tough competition.
Would you like to drive an unlimited hydroplane someday?
Oh, yeah, and like when I'm about 20 or so.
Definitely. How about you, Abby?
Eventually, I'd like to go up there. Not quite yet, but when I get older.
Whatever class of racing you're in, don't go the wrong way the way Travis did, or your dad might put something like this on your dashboard. The world's fastest race boats all over the top of the water here on Willoughby Bay, the big naval station at Norfolk. But racing on a naval base, it wasn't too hard to find a guy whose job is under the water.
I work in the control room aboard the USS Scranton SSN 756. My primary responsibility is to assist the officer of the deck in the safe navigation of the ship once we're submerged. Last thing you want to do is get too close to the bottom. And that's another responsibility I have. Some of the other people that work in the control room with me are the helmsman who works directly for the officer of the deck. When we get ready to come to periscope depth, we start out at about 150 feet coming up. Coming to periscope depth is one of our most vulnerable times because we really don't know what's up there.
And serving on a submarine, you'll find the food is good, but personal space is at a premium.
The sleeping quarters are very, very small, cramped, and there's not a whole lot of space. The food on here, since we're such a small community, the food is actually pretty good. We have 5 tables. 2 of the tables seat 6 people each. The other 3 tables seat 4 people each. Again, we have 120 people on board. So I'll have to do another 2 years aboard this sub, go to shore duty or something in between, and then I'll go back to probably one more submarine before I get out.
That's not the SS Scranton surfacing. It's the Close Call and the rest of our hydroplane fleet getting on plane and heading out for Heat 3A. Coming up next, stay with us. We're back on Willoughby Bay, Norfolk, Virginia, part of the Jasper Unlimited Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas. Dave Vilwalk taking delivery of the lineup for his next heat from a very friendly UHRA official. And here is our lineup, Tom.
Michael Hansen, DeWalt Tools, lane 1. Mark Tate, Close Call, lane 2. Stephen David in the Prime Star, lane 3. Mark Webber, Team Stihl, lane 4. And Rick Christensen, Master Tire, lane 5.
And you can hear the roar of the piston power as the pace boat on the outside, the Master Tire, comes by. We take the green flag and we go racing on board with Mark Tate.
Mark Tate chose lane 2 this time heading to the first turn. Must feel he wants to keep the momentum up.
Certainly running a lot better than they did in our last event, Tom. Perhaps a different combination in this boat.
Well, I'm sure Jim Lucero, the crew chief, is trying different combinations because he knows he's going to meet the Budweiser in the final.
Good race there between the yellow DeWalt on the inside and the Close Call right beside him. And now Tate's horsepower beginning to take over as they start up the backstretch for the first time.
Acceleration was really evident there as the Close Call just pulled away from the DeWalt Tools coming off that turn.
Good shot from up high now as the boats come through the 3rd and 4th turns to come down and finish lap 1. Closing the gap is the DeWalt using the short way around on the inside.
Well, that's the shortest way around, and he definitely made up some ground on that particular corner. We've got Stephen David on the outside of the Close Call in the Prime Star working his way up.
Way on the outside, you see the Stihl, the blue boat. That is Mark Webber running out in lane 4. He's going to challenge the Prime Star for that 3rd spot as Steve David brings the black and yellow boat through the turn, running outside of the rough water. Mark Tate in the Close Call, our leader of Heat 3A. 131 miles per hour on our Zodiac timer that lap. Tom, we should talk about the water conditions. They were so bad last time we were here, we couldn't race. Everybody keeping an eye on the bay, and so far, it's been pretty good.
I talked with several of the drivers, and everybody was pleasantly surprised. The wind conditions are down, and that's why the water conditions are so much better than the last time we were here.
A little bit of a hop there by the Close Call as Mark Tate turned it left, caught the sponson just a bit. 127 miles per hour for DeWalt Tools and Mike Hansen running in 2nd place. Great shot here as these 3 big hydros come right at you.
Mark Tate's leaving Michael Hansen plenty of room in these corners, and I think he's doing that because he's checking out the boat setup, getting ready for that final heat.
Once again, you see the DeWalt running on the inside in the spray, a little bit rough in there. Speaking of final heats, Tom, last time we were out in Madison, the Close Call and Mark Tate on the beach in the final. Looks like they've changed the setup on this boat.
Well, what they've done, I talked to crew chief Jim Lucero, and they've gone back to the basic setups, wing settings, skid fin settings, propellers that they ran last year, gear combinations. They've got this boat running beautifully today.
And we'll all be anxious to see what happens when they hook it up with the Budweiser. It is apparent that the Close Call racing team has come back. Good race back here for 2nd place now between the DeWalt on your right, the Prime Star on your left. It's going to be a drag race down to the checkered flag as Mark Tate wins it. It's the DeWalt in 2nd place, and Steve David and the Prime Star will finish 3rd. Mark Tate, your winner of Heat 3A in the Close Call. After missing a heat with mechanical problems, Team Stihl and Mark Webber back on the water, finishing 4th here in this heat. No finish for this young man, Rick Christensen, and the piston-powered Master Tire. The order of finish in Heat 3A, the points on the right are those accumulated throughout the day. You see the Close Call is perfect so far. Well, if you're hooked on hydroplanes, you'll want to join the UHRA Winner Circle. They'll send you results, newsletters, lots of great stuff. They have a toll-free number, so call now. Let's go down to the dock and Tom Deeth with an excited second-place finisher.
Mike, great battle with Steven for second place.
Yeah, that was a heck of a race. I mean, I kept on trying to run on the inside of Tate, and there was enough room to do it, but I had to slough off so much speed. And finally, I dove through the rooster tail when we lost a little bit of boat speed. I look over, and here's this guy again. So we have a lot of good boat race with him. I'm glad they're running well.
Part of Nate Brown's gear this weekend is our helmet cam, which you see our crew attaching here. On the Budweiser dock, you see Bernie Little along with son Joe and grandson Joey wearing a close call cap. What? We'll be right back. Back in the pit area in Norfolk, Virginia, the Miss Exide had their motor out of the boat, washing the salt out. Can't replace it in time. They will not make Heat 3A. So our Heat 3A becomes a three-boat race. And for the third time today, the Pico American Dream draws the Miss Budweiser, who will have the inside. The truck gear, Ron's Rods and Customs, will be out in lane 3. Let's go down to the Pico dock. Here's Tom.
Okay, you got the Bud guys in this heat again. You got to step it up a little bit. What'd you guys do?
Well, third time's the charm. We did a little dialing up on the motor, and I know lane 2 might be tough, but we're going to give them a shot.
You see the Budweiser on the inside, the Pico in lane 2, and outside the Ron's Rods and Custom truck gear. The Pico has tried the Bud on the inside, the outside. Tom, is there any way to get around this red boat?
Well, I'm sure if the crew has an answer, they've got it on that boat right now for this particular heat, because this is their last shot before the final to try out the Budweiser and to get by him.
From our Labatt's eye in the sky, Tom, we see the Pico running wide and hard.
Well, he's trying to keep the momentum up, and he's got the pedal to the metal because he's trying to run the Budweiser down. And Budweiser, though, is pulling away from him.
Great shot of the water conditions right there. You see they are very nearly ideal. The Pico American Dream, Tom, getting a great boat ride. It's a very fast hydroplane, but Miss Budweiser simply taking it to another level right now.
They certainly are, and the Pico's got a great boat ride, and they just don't have the power. They don't have the acceleration off the turn.
You saw the Zodiac lap speed on the Pico American Dream, 134 miles an hour. The problem, Tom, is the Budweiser is just a little bit faster.
Well, they're in the inside lane right now, and Dave's got it on cruise control. He's just keeping him in his mirrors and driving and protecting the boat.
Now, Mark Evans continues to hang right on his hip. That's your job when you're in second place, is be there if the leader bobbles.
Keep the pressure on. That's what Mark Evans has got to do. He's got to keep running as hard as he possibly can. That's one of the hardest things that I had to learn how to do, was just to keep pushing the whole heat.
Even when you know there's really no chance of getting around the boat like the Miss Budweiser, as long as Dave Villwock has a healthy hydroplane, he's going to be very hard to beat here in 1997. We got a brief look at the third place boat, Nate Brown in the truck gear, as we see now the lead that the Budweiser has over the Pico American Dream. Zodiac lap time for Miss Budweiser, 133 miles per hour. He has slowed down a little bit, Tom, which a driver should do at this point.
Absolutely. He's got to protect his lead. He's got to protect the boat. Dave has got his mind right now probably thinking about the final heat rather than this heat. He just wants this heat over with.
And as we see in this turn, the water is a little rougher, probably just because of the competition.
This is our third place boat, Nate Brown. We're in the cockpit with Nate right now, and you can see the pounding that he's taking. The boat is really vibrating and jarring around.
If your car rode like that, you'd have it in the shop complaining to somebody. Nate sees the rooster tails of the leaders out ahead of him as we look at the second place boat. That's Mark Evans, last year's Budweiser driver. This year, he's in the Pico American Dream, trying to catch the very boat that he drove last year. Checkered flag now will fly for Dave Villwock and the Pico American Dream. A perfect season, except for one heat in the Gold Cup where a penalty set him back. Miss Budweiser, the winner of Heat 3B. Second place will go to Mark Evans in the Pico American Dream. And third to Nate Brown in the Ron's Rods and Customs, Steve Woomer's truck gear. Miss Exide, as our Fruit of the Loom scoreboard shows, failed to start the heat. And with all of our preliminary heats of racing completed now, let's check the scoreboard and see who will be the 6 boats in the front row of our winner-take-all final. It'll be the Budweiser, the Close Call, the Pico, Miss Truck Gear, the DeWalt Tools, and the Prime Star will be the pace boat on the outside. Mark Webber and Team Stihl, slated to be the trailer boat in the final, they have withdrawn, so they'll be on the beach, as will the Master Tire, the Miss Exide, and the Computers and Applications.
Dave, did you try anything different? Did you learn something for the final?
Yeah, well, we're working on a couple of different setups. You know, that was the inside, a little tougher place to be, but again, the Bud boat ran great, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll have to go back and talk to the team and figure out what we're doing for the final.
In the pit area, preparations underway for our winner-take-all unlimited final. But next, the unlimited lights take to Willoughby Bay. Stay with us. Welcome back to the pit area at the Stihl. Virginia is for Lovers Cup. We see the Miss Budweiser crew readying the Red Rocket for the final heat. One boat could have made the final in the trailer position, but had to withdraw.
Mark, you're in the final, but now you're out.
Yeah, we broke the belly pan. There's actually a crack running down, and there's one layer off the belly pan. And Fred and Kurt talked about it. We're worried about it peeling back. If it peels back, it actually could blow the whole back of the boat off. And running as a trailer, which starts behind the pack, we just don't want to take the chance. So we're going to leave it on a trailer, get ready for Tri-Cities next week.
As recently as early this season, Mark Webber was driving in the unlimited light class. Now he's moved up to the big boats. His brother Mike, however, will be in our unlimited lights final, which is next on the water. A very exciting class of racing. We see a lot of deck-to-deck stuff from these guys with the big blocks. But before we run the final, earlier Tom Deeth took us on a tour of one of these boats.
An unlimited light is a limited inboard hydroplane, 22 to 24 feet in length. They weigh just over 2,000 pounds and are powered with a 750 horsepower big block Ford or Chevrolet. They can be no more than 511 cubic inches and must use pump gasoline with one 4-barrel carburetor. Given these limitations, these boats still run over 150 miles an hour.
And our Unlimited Lights final is underway now as the green flag flies, and out to an early lead goes the boat known as the Standard Calibrations, and that is Mike Webber in the cockpit.
Mike anticipated that start just perfectly. He's way on the outside, but a flying start heading for that first turn.
And look at this crowd on the inside. That's the Alamo with Bo Scheid in lane one. He gets crowded just a bit. Cal Phipps in Miss Leroy is in there, as well as Randy Haas in the Leroy too. But the speed so far is on the outside, Mike Webber. But this is going to be a close race as Dennis the Menace comes up between boats in the red boat. And look at the Alamo, Tom. Something's wrong.
Alamo went dead in the water. Something wrong with the Alamo, but we got a great race for first and second place. Mike Webber way on the outside, staying way out in lane 5. Dennis Macy coming up the inside.
Anytime you get a chance to see Dennis Macy drive this red boat, don't take your eyes off of him. It is a wild boat ride, Tom, but he keeps his foot to the firewall.
This is a little bit shorter course than the Unlimiteds run on. It's a 1 2/3 course, but look at Webber jumping out of the water, neck to neck. These guys are getting really close, inches apart.
Now, it's very exciting for the fans when your boat's out of the water, but it's not very efficient. Your prop isn't pushing you at that time.
The prop's not getting any bite when you're jumping out of the water that way, but once they get rolling down the straightaway, aerodynamics take over, pushes that prop in the water, and you really get cooking.
Now look at Macy on the inside in the red boat. He's established a little bit of a lead over Webber, and the Leroy coming up on the inside as well. We have a great race back here now for second place between the Leroy and Mike Webber. Meanwhile, Dennis Macy opening up a bit of a lead in the red boat. He's won before, running very wild like this. Not the best boat ride in the world, but one of our faster lights.
Calvin Phipps is coming up on the inside. See where he's riding, right in the spray of Dennis Macy, and he's getting the advantage of the smoother water, and he's pulling out ahead now of Mike Webber. Great battle for second and third place.
Kind of like when you're water skiing. Sometimes the smoothest water is right behind the boat.
That's right, and Dennis Macy in a very comfortable lead, running on the inside. We got a checkered flag coming up here for Dennis Macy. Calvin Phipps running a strong second place, took second away from Mike Webber.
Great boat race, and the wild man, Dennis the Menace Macy, wins the Unlimited Lights final in his bright red boat after being challenged by Mike Webber, who drops back into third place. It's Cal Phipps in the Miss Leroy in second place. The Alamo expected to challenge and perhaps win here. Mechanical problems, and Bo Scheid went out on the very first lap. A big disappointment there. Here is the order of finish for the top four. Once again, great racing from the Unlimited Lights. Let's go down to Tom with Dennis the Menace.
Dennis, great race coming from third place. What a show.
Hey, thanks, Tom. Any congratulations from you makes me feel good. The Alamo boat was running good. He broke down. I'm sure that helped my cause, but the water laid down from this morning, and my little boat accelerates well. Not always in the rough water, but it laid down a little bit for me, and I'm tickled to death today.
Next up, the big turbine boats are back on the water. Dave Villwalk's boss, Bernie Little, saying let's make it 4 in a row. We'll find out when we come back. ESPN2 coverage of the Stihl Virginia is for Lovers Cup is sponsored by Las Vegas, open 24 hours, and by Labatt Blue. Earlier, you got a look at our lineup for the final heat. We'll show it to you one more time as the 6 fastest boats in the world are now on the historic waters of Chesapeake Bay, about to go sponson to sponson at nearly 200 miles per hour. We'll watch the start from our Labatt's eye in the sky. You see the Budweiser on the inside. The close call is right next to him. Then the Pico. You move out to the truck gear, the DeWalt, and the pace boat on the outside is the Prime Star. With Steve David, he's the early leader, but the speed, Tom, is way on the inside.
And we've got a heck of a race going here. Deck to deck, side by side, close call. Tried to pinch the Budweiser in that first turn, but jumped over a lane and let Bill walk through.
Mark Tate, as he does so well, leaving just a little bit of room for the boat on the inside, but that's all the Budweiser needed to get through there, and Villwalk now has about a half a boat length lead as they head up the back straightaway. Mark Tate in the close call is right there on his hip.
The Pico's got a problem. He's heading the wrong way. He's backwards on the race course.
Sitting still, and once again the Pico has a heartbreaking final heat. This is Nate Brown's cockpit, and he's not moving. Did those two boats get together again? It would be about the third time this season. The close call continues to chase the Budweiser. We'll go back and check the Pico and the truck gear as Nate Brown gets underway again.
He's getting it back up on plane. Oh, we got some damage. You can look to the left there, just outside the window, and there's some fiberglass hanging. Left side of the boat is damaged.
Nate's going to try to run it that way. We'll see how he does as the Budweiser now well into the second lap. The close call continuing to pursue, as we have seen so many times this year, as the Budweiser runs a lap at 133 miles per hour. Dave Villwalk opening up a big lead over the competition. Tom, in your days as the Budweiser driver, did you ever have a ride this dominant?
No, I never had one this dominant. The Budweiser boats that I drove were really fast, but he's got it all together. There's just no doubt about it.
This boat right here, the close call with Mark Tate, historically challenges the Budweiser later this season. We'll hope they can close that gap a bit, but right now it's all Budweiser. You saw the truck gear up and running once again. All the boats now completing another lap and into the first turn. The Budweiser is leading the Pico American Dream. If you're looking for that boat, it has not restarted. You got a quick look at it in the infield. Steve Woomer wondering what it's going to take to get his close call up beside the Budweiser again. The DeWalt team having a pretty good day, running in third place here on the waters of Willoughby Bay.
Michael Hansen's doing a fantastic job. Third place water just isn't what first place water is, and I know he'd rather be up there where the Budweiser is, that's for sure.
One lap remaining now in our 5-lap winner-take-all final, and Dave Villwalk and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser apparently on the way to another checkered flag. The close call continues, though, to put the pressure on.
He's got a great boat ride. They just need a little bit more power. You notice the water conditions by the end of the 5th lap is really deteriorated. All boats bouncing around, getting kind of a bad ride.
A lot of concern over whether this bay would hold up throughout a day of racing. The winds coming in off the ocean can make it very rough, but it has been raceable all day. As the field spreads out a bit, it's Dave Villwalk, a half a lap to go.
Final turn, Budweiser into that upper 3-4 corner, and look at, he's got it glued to the water. He knows that this victory is in the bag if he can make it to the finish line.
Bernie Little's super team of driver Dave Villwalk, the defending national champion, crew chief Ronnie Brown, they will win the inaugural running of the Virginia is for Lovers Cup, sponsored by Stihl. Once again, the Budweiser team celebrates as the close call finishes second. Michael Hansen and the DeWalt Tools in third place. The showdown between our winner, Miss Budweiser, and the Pico American Dream once again fails to materialize. Somehow, two boats got together. Let's see what happened from inside Nate Brown's cockpit.
He's sliding out a little bit wide in the corner and getting jostled around because of the water conditions are just violent at this point. Totally blinded now by the rooster tail. Can't see anything. Wow, there was the impact right there. You saw the boat pick up on the right side.
Nate Brown suffered some damage to the canard, the wing on the left front of his boat. In that impact, he was able to get it up and running again. The Pico American Dream, however, was out for the rest of the final. The first ever Virginia is for Lovers Cup, sponsored by Stihl, is history. Our Fruit of the Loom scoreboard has the Budweiser team atop the standings, picking up 1,600 more points toward the O'Doul's national title. Let's go to Tom.
Dave, that was a wild first lap, and the Budweiser, I've never seen it that far out of shape. You had to do some driving to get it down.
Well, you were saying it was a little too tight to the water yesterday, so we thought we better show the fans here the bottom of the Miss Budweiser as well. But no, it was rough out there, and everybody was hanging on, you know, so another great race. I think I just couldn't be happy for all the Norfolk people, for Budweiser, Bernie Little, the whole entire Budweiser crew. Boy, they gave me a boat that was awful fast today, and I managed to get it out front.
Dave Vilwalk and the Budweiser racing team continue to lead in the O'Doul's national high points after 4 events. Mark Tate and the close call moving up from 4th all the way to 2nd place. For Nate Brown, a close call of his own and damage to his boat. Want to keep up on the latest in unlimited racing? It's easy on the internet. Visit the UHRA website at www.uhra.com. From here, we hoist anchor and set sail for the Pacific Northwest and 3 races here on ESPN2. The Unlimited Hydroplane Series, produced by Diamond P Sports in association with ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.